Hi, everybody. Welcome to Do You Believe on Paranormal Zone TV. I want to thank you all so much for being here tonight. And for those of you who may be new to the show, if you would please subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Don't forget to give the show a like as well. Tonight, I am so excited to have Archbishop Ron Feyl Enright back on the show. He is the presiding bishop and chief exorcist for the Sacred Order of St. Michael the Archangel, the Order of Exorcists. His website is orderofexorcists.com. And tonight we're going to talk about good versus evil, demonic existence, demonic hacking, which this is a phrase that the Archbishop came up with, how to profile demonic behavior, who to contact, plus the Archbishop is going to talk about some interesting stories of being retired as an exorcist. So with that, let's all welcome Archbishop to the show. Hi, Archbishop Ron Feyl Enright. Thanks so much for being on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. This is about the third show I've had with the Archbishop, and I'm going to make a playlist now. We'll have three shows, and if you haven't seen the other two shows that we did, they are unbelievable, absolutely awesome shows, and they are a must. So I'm going to create a playlist for the Archbishop. So tonight, Ron wants to talk. Archbishop, sorry, I've known Ron for a long time. Anyway, so the Archbishop wants to talk about the topics that I just stated. So, Archbishop, first of all, Archbishop, would you please tell the viewers a little bit more about yourself?
Well, sure. I'd like to talk about things that are interesting, especially things that I have experienced firsthand in my life. I am a Catholic Archbishop. I'm affiliated with the independent Old Roman Catholic Church. Our organization is under the jurisdiction of St. Michael the Archangel, and our organization is called the Order of Exorcists. And we are an international organization. We're located in 42 countries. I have members in 18 U.S. states, and each one operates autonomously. Each one has an autonomous jurisdiction where the bishop would actually be in charge and pretty much make the decisions in regards to their particular jurisdiction. When it comes to the ministry of exorcism, this is one thing that we all share as a one organization. And as a result, we not only investigate things that are, pretty scary, different, I should say, but we also look even further. If it's, let's say, causes some type of perhaps maybe supernatural event that may occur, which we would call demonic influence. If that should happen, of course, our investigators go in and they do an assessment, and in this assessment they ask a series of questions. This would give me an insight as to what the case is all about. And my investigators would record everything, and basically as they go through the questionnaire, which I designed back in the early 80s, it's an assessment that would actually show us whether or not the individual is truly has some type of disturbance that would be demonic related. If that be the case, then of course we would pursue it, and then I would authorize a ritual of exorcism. And that would be performed after we have confirmation that it's not a mental illness or some type of health disorder. And even then, we have to consider that to be a possible genuine, because it depends on the manifestations of what takes place in the initial assessment.
Mm-hmm. All right, so tonight we're going to talk about good versus evil. Do you want to start?
Sure. Well, there's one thing that's really interesting. I was just talking about this earlier today. I bought this brand new computer, and it has all kinds. It has the bells and whistles, and it has everything you could ever want in this computer. The only thing that I don't want to have is a virus, and that virus seems to be catching. That is, people are actually contracting this virus. This virus, of course, is created by a hacker. And we all know what hackers are in regards to computers. When they hack into your computer, they will get all your information. They will use your information. They will steal whatever they can, whatever they're able, to what's ever in your database. They will take that and use it for their own purposes. In this case, we're talking about demonic actions. I was thinking earlier today about hacking and hackers, and then I thought about the demonic and what the similarity is, where demonic oppression is when the demonic would actually make a suggestion and he would hack into your brain and start making you think that all the negative things that you're doing in life is actually yours idea, and it came from you. But the reality is that it's actually coming from an outside source. And of course, that would be demonic oppression. It's all around us. And the terrible thing about this is that the demonic will hide in plain sight. And it will you become so adapted to it that you would think it's part of what life is supposed to be like. Your journey in life, God willing, is a long and joyful journey. Unfortunately, there will be bumps in the road, and these bumps are caused by what I refer to as the darkness. Remember, the two sides, there's dark and there's light. The dark, of course, represents evil, and the light, of course, represents love, represents God. So the two have to coexist, and they're always in constant conflict. The problem that we have is we're so caught up in our life on this journey that we don't exactly pay attention to certain things that may occur in our lives. And so maybe we might have something that would happen, even a terrible sickness may be contracted, and no reason for you to have that sickness. Or perhaps maybe even your thought process has been altered a bit, and you're starting to do things that would not normally be within your nature or character, such as obsessing with drugs or alcohol, and finding it as it's a form of enjoyment, and you have no idea, maybe even picking up so many bad habits, and this is not the way you truly are in reality. As a result, there's so many influences. I always tell people that we live in a world full of dark and sharp edges. And you know what happens when you walk in a dark room and there's a broken glass and you're in bare feet? You're going to get cut. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're going to know it. But unfortunately, the danger is out there. And I like to think of ourselves as the walking Titanic. Okay, we're the Titanic. We're just floating around, minding our own business, trying to get from point A to point B. And then there it is, a big iceberg. That iceberg was totally unexpected. But yet, we're going to collide, and it's going to be one heck of a collision. As a result, a lot of things can happen. The breakdown of our body, the breakdown of our system, our mind, our perception, and all these things that make up who we are. So,
okay,
what I like to say real quick is that that's the main reason why this information is very important for people to understand it. And of course, it really does based on their inner belief system, but these things are real.
Okay, now, so this is an ongoing thing. It happens every day. People are hacked, but not everybody is hacked. Are there just certain people that these demonic entities go after?
Excellent point. Yes, absolutely right. The reason being is, okay, if we are careless and we decide to leave a careless, carefree life, maybe a reckless life, that would be the right term, we are probably going to trip over ourselves. And things are going to happen, and these would be outside influences that will take place. Of course, when that happens, you have to open your eyes and pay attention, because things are happening all around us. Things are moving so fast that it's really hard to say when it will happen, because it'll happen when you least expect it. And when it does, you'll know, because you'll fall flat on your face. Some of us will anyway. A lot of us can't avoid those sharp edges and those obstacles in life, and that is by just simply paying attention. Knowing that there is, and recognizing the fact that there is a very real force that is the darkness, and the darkness does constantly interchange with our existence. No matter how much light you feel you might have and walk in, the darkness is right there, right beside you. It could be your friends, can maybe be a bad influence on you. And you may not even know it. And as you become more and more adapted to whatever's going on, you become part of the scenario. And then that's where bad habits and reckless living comes into play.
Well, Archbishop, what about, there's so many people out there now that are involved in paranormal investigating. And from experience and from the past that I was in that field, there were so many people that had issues. Could it be that when these people deal with this paranormal stuff and doing all the things that they do, trying to talk with spirits and trying to talk to the afterlife and the other side, and if there is a dark entity out there that they're communicating with, could that cause a lot of problems as well?
Definitely. Some people might call it baggage too. We all have so-called baggage, things that we may have done in the past, and it just lingers on. So wherever we go, we drag it with us. In this case, if it's communicating with spirits and kind of daring the demonic to come out, make yourself known.
Right.
This could be a very dangerous request. Believe me, a lot of people have walked away regretting in terms of that action. You as a paranormal investigator yourself, you know that it's very, very important to make sure you're prepared before you even enter the premises. You have to make sure that you're protected, spiritually protected. You have to make sure that God's light is shining on you and you're in good favor. And when you walk into a place, you walk in there with no notion of anything to be of self-gain, but it has to be, your attentions have to be on the person you're trying to help. If your intentions are sincere and you walk in and you conduct your investigation, you conduct yourself as a professional with courtesy, kindness, and just be sharp as a tack as you observe the details. Because everything is truly in the details.
Well, I have to tell you, Archbishop, even though you go in there with protection and you look at the white light surrounding you and all this and that, it still can break through. The bad stuff can still break through.
It's true. It's very true. I had a similar conversation a few years back, I suppose. It was in regards to, if you're so holy and good, why do bad things happen to you?
Right.
And then some people would say, well, they could interpret that as being, well, maybe it's a test. It's some kind of challenge that God's given you. Well, I don't know. All I do know is that we are not fully protected because of the elements are all around us. And being human, we're subject to everything. Our emotions, our likes, our needs, even our own personal obsessions. We all have them. Mine's, I think, is lasagna. I have a bad problem with lasagna. Anyway, but the point is that these things can really disrupt your life, and you will have some bumps in the road. And it's all part of it. The best advice I could give, and after I say this, I want to tell you very quickly about a case of possession that I've witnessed, and what the outcome was. And it's in regards to the same thing we're referring to. What we're trying to do is we're trying to understand what is truly going on around us. And if we can do that, and if we can put our heart and make it where everything that you do in life is going to be for the betterment of whoever you come in contact with. If you can do that, that would be wonderful. Unfortunately, we can't do that. there's too many things in the way. We have our desires. We have our personal needs that seem to have to come first. We always put ourselves first. And sometimes in doing that, we tend to trip over ourselves because we lose focus as to what life is truly about. We're put here in this world for a very special reason. And as a result, I believe we all have a mission in life. Our mission is to be the very best we could be. The question came up as I was going to refer to this case of demonic possession. This lady was possessed for 7 years. Most of her life, she lived in the downtown area of Skid Row in Los Angeles.
Archbishop, may I interrupt you for 1 second? I have a picture that I got off your website. Is that the one you're referring to? From Los Angeles, a demonic possession in Los Angeles. Yes. Oh, can I show the picture then to them?
Sure.
Go ahead. All right, go ahead. Continue.
Okay, well, as I was saying, this lady was living on the streets in downtown Los Angeles, and she was a horrible mess. Her body would have those physical needs of food, though she would probably eat a meal maybe every couple of days, and it would be in some dumpster. She was a very violent person at times. Oh, and as a result, it was very, very. This particular picture, by the way, it's a demonstration of what the person would look like. This picture here was actually taken from a movie that mimicked almost the story I'm telling about. It's just really incredible. In any case, what happens is that if the person is not willing to turn their life around and get back on track, the demons can come back and repossess the individual. That's even after a fully successful ritual. Staying on point now, okay. The lady, she was just a horrible mess. And a chaplain in one of the missions called me, and I decided to come down and actually take a look at her myself and see what kind of assessment we could do just by basically looking at her behavior, and it was quite interesting. He helped me along with a few other people that were beneficiaries of that mission, and we performed an exorcism, and after about 9 hours we were successful, and she became back to normal, and 2 days later she was right back to the condition that we found her in. She was totally and completely out of her mind. She seemed like she had symptoms of someone who is a schizophrenic, paranoid schizophrenic. But actually, in reality, it was a demonic possession, because she would do things that would not be associated with that type of psychosis. She would perform certain things by looking at people, and people could feel the tension and even the heat. They could feel the temperature of this lady. She could like transmit. It was like almost transmitting an invisible heat ray, if you will. Any person that got near her would feel so uncomfortable, and as a result, it was a very shocking experience. We tried to round her up, if you will, and tried to take care of her. Unfortunately, she passed away.
No.
Yeah.
Was it because of the entity that was attached to her?
Yes, it was because it was the reinfecting of the entity. The entity came back along with other demonic entities. So there was more than one that was in her. And as we chased her, she just, I don't want to mention, it's a bridge in downtown Los Angeles everybody's familiar with. I don't even know the name of it. It's in Los Angeles. She just leaped off the bridge and landed head first.
Oh my God.
The good news is that she was finally relieved, because she was physically suffering, and you could see it. Every wrinkle, line she had in her face, I'm sure would tell a story as to what she actually had to go through. and the poor thing was just being eaten up alive from the inside.
God.
And that's what the demonic will do. Demonic will not kill you, but it will drive you to that point where you want to commit suicide. You'd want to end it. And for a long time, I felt somewhat responsible because I made the decision to chase, and to round her up. And as a result, this individual started running and just trying to catch up to her. And she just leaped over the bridge, and we were maybe less than a couple of feet away. And but so for a long time, I felt very guilty about this because, again, I'm the one who made the call. But in the same token, God has softened my thoughts and my mind and my heart, and I feel that this is probably the way it was supposed to end.
All right. So, Archbishop, how did she get that way? What was she doing that caused her to have that attachment to her?
About 8 years ago or so, prior to us meeting her, about 8 years or so, she was in the streets of Skid Row, and she was shooting heroin and drugs. She was a drug user, and then she just came right over the edge to the point where she wasn't really taking drugs anymore. She was at that state on a permanent basis where the spirit would just, the entity would actually continue her behavior and without the drugs. And so I think what was happening was that the personality of the demon, and by the way, each demon has different personalities. This demon just simply manifested all of the personalities, physical personalities and traits of itself in this poor woman. And she looked like she was about 60, but I'm sure she was maybe in her 20s. I mean, that's how bad she looked. Skin and bones, and really your typical victim, if you will. The whole thing about the ritual of exorcism is that if you're successful, and God willing you are, and the demonic entity has been driven away or driven out of the individual, then that individual has to turn their life around and start living a righteous life. That is, try to live a life that was not like anything like their previous life. They stay within their previous life, then no matter what they do, it's going to come back. And as this is also scriptural, the demon will come back, not only the demon that was in her, but also it will bring other demons to possess her. So she had all these demons going on in her body, and her body was literally being, I want to say torn apart, but I guess if you want to use a medical term, or maybe in the layman's term anyway, she was being devoured from the inside. She was being eaten up. Her liver was just about gone. Her all the other vital organs were breaking down, and she was basically just a person that was she was a skeleton just embodied with skin.
Oh my God!
And sorry to say, they have this past week they did a statistic. In fact, they've been trying to get the numbers in terms of the accuracy of the homeless people in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And you would believe the numbers. Unreal, unbelievable. I would say probably I'm only guessing now, but I'll say maybe a good 10% possibly are perhaps influenced by some type of demonic behavior as a result of being possessed or being at least have some kind of demonic oppression where there's an obsession with drugs or alcohol and food and shelter and all these things really will not help. Not at all. They have no interest in shelter. The average person who is homeless more than a year, they start developing a psychosis and people called a blight scenario, where they are used to the outdoors. They do not want housing. They don't want shelter. They don't want any type of that type of support. All they want to be is left alone. And they want to make wherever they're at, they'll make that's where their encampment will be. And as a result, things things could go really bad. Half of the people in jail are probably have some form of demonic issues going on in their lives. As I say half, it's probably more than half, way more than half. Prisons as well. Mental institutions, I'll say, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say there's probably about close to maybe, I don't know, 90% of them are probably some type of demonic issues.
Oh.
And as a result, medicine can only help to a certain degree. You can sedate them, but still, they're still in that same form where they are totally, completely possessed by whatever negative energy is within them. I think about that the time that me and a group of priests, we went to a mental it was a mental hospital, and as a result, the patients there were all very much aware of our presence. So much so that they would stare at us, and as we walked by, it was almost like uniformity, where all the faces would like turn in our direction, almost at the same time. Kind of creepy.
Oh man!
And so, as a result, but they were pretty much aware that what we were representing, because we walked in there with the light. We had this bright light of hope, and sometimes that bright light of hope is all you really need to be victorious. And you don't have to be a clergyman to have that victorious life. I mean, there are so many ways to achieve that. And that's just simply being the best you could be and allowing yourself to be used by the light, being used by God, doing something that's not about yourself, but something about maybe just helping other people. If one person would do that to another, and that person would do it to another, and then before you know it, the whole world. Do you know the country has 195 countries in the world? There's 195 countries in the world. To think, if each of us took on a positive attitude and tried to do something very special for a stranger, just think of what kind of society we would have.
I know. I feed a homeless man. I've been doing it. Been feeding him for going on 2 years now. I bought him stuff to make his little home. I buy him everything he needs. I buy him little cooking stoves. I go grocery shopping for him every Saturday, and I give him money for the week if he runs out. And he's been homeless for a long time, and he had a drinking problem. He gets no assistance at all because he can't apply for anything because he has no home. He has no post office box, nothing where he can get mail. And so he depends on anything that he can get from the public. And he used to be outside one of the stores, and that's how I found him. And people would call the police on him, and the cops would come and tell him he'd have to go. But he doesn't have to do that anymore because I take care of him. And I know there's something, he's not all there in his mind. He's not all there. And I know he does have issues. He's never done anything verbally bad to me or anything, but I watch it. I'm careful because you never know. But still, I make sure he's taken care of. But he's just one of them, and there's others that are out there, and I can't help everybody. I can't afford it, but I can take care of this one fella.
That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. That's one way you can make that person's life a big major difference. It's like a disruption in the currents of what is happening in the world today. Everything that you do will interfere with that current, that electrical current that's around the planet. You're contributing to something that's good. Enough people have enough lights, and we show enough lights, and we shine themselves, and we stand together. We'll have a big beam of light, and that would really help the world. Yeah. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Oh, but unfortunately, I see these people on the streets all the time, and people just walk by them. They just walk by them, they don't really. I haven't seen anybody around that has any caring for anybody that are on the streets, and it's sad. And there's an epidemic in the San Francisco Bay Area of the homeless. It's terrible. Anyway, so when this lady that you were dealing with, did you ever find out the name of the demons that were attacking her?
No. At first, we knew exactly what we were dealing with, but then afterwards, when she was overtaken, demons are normally identified by the actions of what the person is actually doing, how the person is being manipulated by the spirit itself. As a result, she was obviously under so much demonic oppression, and her body was just the residual of the abuse that had gone on. And the abuse maybe has started. Maybe she started that abuse, but the abuse did not end with her efforts. The abuse ended with the demonic. And the demonic and the darkness just simply overcame her. And as a result, her way out was death. These are things you don't really hear about.
No.
A lot of people die almost every day as a result. It could be a drug overdose. It could be a suicide. It could be a number of things. Even there's people today, at least once a week, somebody throws themselves out of a hotel window, and they feel pressured to do so. Why? Because of life. Anything that happens in the negative, it does not come from God. God is not about negative. God is about positive. God's about light. So anything that is of a negative nature, it has to be from the darkness. And of course, the darkness we refer to as the demonic. The demonic forces are real, and they're in our lives. They'll always be in our lives. They're around us right now, even as I speak. And they're just waiting. They're just kind of like kicking back and wondering and waiting. Well, when am I going to take advantage of this person and do my thing? That's their whole purpose. You understand that we are God's creation, and all that Satan wants to do is be not only rebellious. He wants to, if he could, destroy God's creation, and by doing it, he would actually take one soul at a time. So this is the whole plan. The whole plan is to take us down one at a time. And as a result, it's happening every day. So we have suicides. So we have hangings. So we have people jumping out of windows. And for no real reason, except something in their mind has pushed them to that point where they thought that was the only way out, or to gain some kind of release. And it's really scary, because the reality is this could be any one of us. Any one of us can wind up in that position if we should happen to drop our guard down and not show enough of our light to other people.
But
I think if you can do that, you're in a good safety position. You're in a good safe position.
Could some of these people just have mental illness rather than a possession?
Somebody asked me today, what's the difference between demonic possession and the schizophrenia? And so I say, and this is just my opinion, but I believe a lot of clergy would probably agree with me on this, I would say that the one could be the same. Reason being is, anything that's negative within our own very being does not come from God. It comes from the opposite. It comes from darkness, obviously. Mental illness can be explained through chemical imbalance, could be explained in many different ways. Reality is the chemical imbalance, there has to be something that cause and effect took place. And who's to say it wasn't the demonic? Satan and his demons have a lot of power. They have a lot of influence, because they make it possible for us to listen to them, because they talk about things we want to hear about. They talk about things that we enjoy. They demonstrate things that are totally taboo, but yet something in us that very human nature in us, we are compelled to go towards that forbidden ground, or do something that's totally and completely against our nature, because they have that ability. God has the ability also to protect us from that. But remember, there's a constant battle. The term which has been used over and over again, and maybe overused, but it's been used over and over again, it's the good versus evil. The battle of good versus evil. It's not just a term, it's a reality. We are in a war right now. The war has started from the very beginning of time. And as a result, the darkness has always been with us. Demons have always been around us. Their main job description is to tear us down and to drive us to the point where we will feel hopeless. And we'll feel hopelessness, and we will feel rejected, we will feel unloved, we will feel isolated. As a result, it would bring us to a point where we could actually be very destructive to our very being, because of all those elements. That's what the darkness does. He hides himself so well. He blends himself so well. Blends himself in advertising. Blends himself in radio broadcasting, TV programs. He blends himself in the very slight, suggestive way that he will perhaps maybe create something that shouldn't be there, that you should not really be, you really shouldn't hear, but yet we're compelled to listen to these things. The thing about pornography, for example, if you notice, a decade ago, you didn't have as much pornography as you have now, which is almost in the open medium. I mean, you can get it anywhere, especially on the internet. Things that you have never thought you would ever see publicly are now being shown and talked about, and even in some cases endorsed. There's a state, one of the states in the Midwest in our country, they are now allowing people who are literally devil worshippers to pray in their cabinet, to pray in city meetings and public meetings and social meetings. And they're introducing the darkness in a very subtle way, where it becomes very attractive to, especially to the young minds. And as a result, they just play on their emotions, and before you know it, they've crossed that line. Mm-hmm. And then that happens, then, you start hearing about serial killers, and you start hearing about people being raped and being molested, and you hear about all kinds of negative things, which all these things do not come from God. They come from the darkness.
Now, what about the people out there that use instruments like the voice recorder, the Ouija board, and other spirit boxes that they use in their home to try and communicate with spirit? Is that dangerous, do you think?
I'm going to say something that most people would probably not agree with, but to me, I'm really pretty certain about this. Ouija boards and other instruments that can be used to communicate to the other side. These instruments, these physical instruments that people actually use, have no magical power. The power comes from within ourselves. It's a thing that we refer to as intent. If you have an intention to contact something on the other side, something that would be of an evil nature, and you want to use a Ouija board to use that to get there, you will get there because of your intention. But that's your intention. Okay, it's not the Ouija board. The Ouija board's just a toy, plastic, cardboard toy. It's not real. It's just an object. But your intention makes it something. Your intention makes it. It's like a gun. You have a loaded weapon, a loaded handgun. Okay, you leave it on your desk. It's not going to kill anyone, no one at all. But the person who picks the gun up and aims it at somebody and then presses the trigger, the gun didn't kill the person, but yet the person that pressed the trigger, pulled the trigger, he actually executed the person and executed the gun. Allowed the gun to shoot and kill that person. The gun itself was not the deadly weapon. It was the person's intent. That was the deadly factor that ties in. So you see, it works all the same way. You could use things that could be the catalyst that you feel and believe will help you get to where you want to be in regards to all these various rituals that one might decide to do. But understand, it's not the elements that are being used. It's your intention. Your intention you are actually firing up what these elements would be, and those elements become stimulated through your intentions. We have so much power within ourselves, and this is something else that very few people are even aware of or even believe. We have so much power in ourselves, in our mind. We can do so many unbelievable things if we choose to do so. If we just simply stay, let's say, within our comfort zone, we'll never really know our full potential. But if we are willing to go outside our comfort zone and explore, and we could do some mighty things, mighty great things, I might add. It's our choice in what we do in life. It's our choice if we are heavy, if we have a weight problem. Okay, it's our choice. Okay, to based on the consumption that we take every day. We know knowingly that all the stuff that we're eating may not be good for us, but because of the I call it the sugar element, in my case, pasta. In any case, if you overindulge, of course you're going to have to pay the price. There's always you have to pay the piper. You initiate the whole thing. It's cause and effect. So everything we do in life, okay, it reflects on who we are. It even defies who we are at times. If we want to learn a new language, we have that ability to do it. We have this computer brain that's incredible. I mean, man, we can program our brain to learn just about anything. And as a result, it would broaden our awareness, which can be a very good thing. But again, on the other side of the coin, when we do that, we are truly stepping out of the zone, of our comfort zone, which means that we are opening ourselves up to other things that may not be as good, other things that were meant to be hidden in the dark. But we make a conscious effort to go and do some discoveries. And yeah, we might get some enlightenment, but that enlightenment doesn't necessarily mean it's good. It could be very negative. I keep thinking about, this happened many years ago. Do you remember the Jim Jones cult?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and that wasn't that in San Francisco?
No, that was in Guyana. In Guyana.
Oh, yeah, okay. But it started in California, didn't it?
Yeah, he did, but then the last thing that was in Guyana.
Well, that mass suicide, where that happened there, it was interesting that when they were going through the bodies, they did not discover one Bible. There was not one Bible. And this was supposed to be some kind of Christian organization.
No, I don't think it was a Christian organization. It was his teachings, his cult that he had. He took, they believed in him, but I don't think it was Christian.
Yeah, I was like under the impression that he had to use a tool that could capture their attention, and then using himself as the Messiah, they were willing to do anything he would direct them to do. That takes extreme, not charisma, it takes a lot of power to do that, to persuade someone to drink the poison, if you will, drink the Kool-Aid. It's something that we would not necessarily do if we're in our right mind. And again,
when these people belong to these cults, Archbishop, there was what was the other one? Something to heaven, something. Oh God, they all thought they were going to go in a satellite or something up to the stars or to heaven. The Gates of Heaven, I think it was called. They committed suicide. They went to and they found them in their beds. I forget how they all died, but they followed this guy, Gates to Heaven. They believed him.
Yeah, sure. And it's pretty hard to persuade anyone. And I can tell you right now, the vacuum cleaning salesmen that sell door to door, knocking on doors and trying to sell their merchandise, it's very hard for them to sell their vacuum cleaners or whatever product they have. I don't think that Jim Jones or any of these cult leaders have any other special power except maybe some power from the darkness. And they were able to persuade individuals to follow them and perhaps even mimic their lifestyle. And as a result, I heard there was a crazy religious group that the pastor said, well, it's time for us to march into the ocean. And they all went in groves, and they all went and kept walking in the ocean until they all drowned.
Oh.
I think that happened in California, too. There's a lot of crazy people in California. You know that, right?
So I've heard. Let's see. What did you wanted to also talk about how to profile demonic behavior?
Yes. How to profile demonic behavior in a human being. Okay, there are many things that you could do. If you are, like, for example, giving an assessment, and you are, let's say, in front of somebody who might have an issue, a real issue, okay, there are certain things that you should really watch out for. Mannerisms, the way they express themselves, the way they hold themselves. Interesting characteristic, a person that is possessed under some type of demonic influence will not blink their eyes. Their eyes will remain open, wide open. For some reason, it's a bodily function. Every 30 seconds you have to blink your eyes. But people who are under the influence of demonic behavior will not blink their eyes. Their eyes will remain open. There's another trait. Their mouth will be partially open, where they start salivating. And it looks pretty, kind of gross, but some people may think it's a form of mental illness, but the reality is, if all of these things come together, for example, if their hair starts changing color, that's another very, very meaning. If they start doing things, instead of walking, they start gliding.
Oh my God, what? You mean to... No way! They glide?
It's like ice skating without the ice.
Oh my
without
God!
the skates. Okay, you're like gliding. So they're gliding. They're not even walking.
Oh.
Okay, and again, that would be the manifestation of a demon.
Oh.
They seem to have this really canny ability to do what they want to do, and nobody has the ability to stop them. They can pick people up and throw them around. They could throw anything around if it's in their way, and if you're in their way, they'll have the ability to hurt you. And it's not the person that's really hurting you, but the person is being driven to actually mimic the personality of that demonic behavior. Certain things like that, which could be very, very frightening. I've worked with a lot of pastors over the years, a lot of priests and bishops. I swear that half the priests I used to kind of hang out with, I swear half of them were possessed because of their behavior. But then I found out they were like in the back drinking communion wine, so that's what. Okay, that explains.
Hey, reading your website and everybody, his website is fabulous, has a lot of information on it. Let's see, what was it? Exorcist? No, what was it? What's your website?
It's www.orderofexorcists.com.
That's right. You made a list of things to contact you if you are experiencing these certain things. Now, I was reading everything. Holy cow. I never even thought of black human-shaped figures that move or stand. Now, to me, that would be shadow people. black clouds of smoke, evil spirit that is interacting with you or a household member, electronic equipment such as radios and televisions that go on and off, clock that hands move backwards. Have you ever seen that?
Yes,
Oh,
I have. And in several cases, in a demonic infestation, which is it's a haunting situation where the demonic has free roam of the house. So you experience everything from hurricane winds, okay, and you could be standing in the middle of the living room and you feel these winds and they're so strong they could almost blow you off your feet. Of course, all the doors and windows would be closed, but this wind would come out of nowhere, and just like blow you away, literally. Then not to mention the sounds, and then the creepy things that happen, and your body reacts to it. Your body reacts to things that are not considered a normal phenomenon. For example, you start hearing banging and scratching, okay, on the walls, and yet you're the only one in the room, okay, and there's no one creating the sounds or scratching the walls. Something happens to you. The very first thing that I notice is the hair on my arms starts standing up. And then the hair on my back starts standing up. And then the hair where I had no idea where there was hair started standing up. So, things like that happen, okay? And these are all supernatural events that actually take place. And then I think part of it is, and understand, I've been doing this I've been doing this for almost over 40 years. And as a result, in all that time, I could still never get used to the fact that walls can actually bleed. That things actually take place before your very eyes, where things start moving. Electrical things start, like, having a mind of its own, literally. And as a result, things take place, things happen. In all my years, and as a retired, and I quote-unquote retired person, what I still experience is the residue of everything I did in those 40 years. We all leave a trail in life. We all have our personal signature that we leave behind, no matter who you are. And I left my signature in a lot of dark places. So a lot of dark places have actually followed the breadcrumbs, which means that I'm constantly aware that they are around, and they are around me. And things around me, physical things can move, physical things have moved, things have happened. I've had maggots fall from the ceiling just as a result of some form of retaliation because of what I was prepared to do.
Oh,
and
no.
And I'm talking about in my own home.
Oh.
So, things continue to happen because we forget that we live not only in a physical world, but we live in a spiritual world. In the spiritual world, things are, they're in a place where you can't really see them unless you're totally gifted. And I believe that some of us are, where we could actually see the spiritual things as well as feel the spiritual things. I could feel them, for example. I could feel the presence of a spiritual entity anywhere near me. I could feel, and I have been touched physically by demonic forces. I've been, as you know, like 7 years ago, I was in a hospital in critical condition because I was literally clobbered. It felt like a 2x4 3 times on my side while I was doing a ritual. And that put me in the hospital for 30 days. Almost lost my life.
I remember
3
that.
operations, and after 2 liters of blood of sac was around my heart, almost died. Okay, you know the story.
Yeah.
The point is that I have been touched physically by the demonic. I have seen the demonic in the sense, in a dark environment, I saw the silhouettes of the demonic. And many times, I still do see them. The closer you get to this reality of things that people totally ignore, think it's nonsense, but when you come to the realization that these things are real, you start seeing things that you never thought you would be able to see. So I'm seeing things. I see things all the time, and as a result, it confirms everything that I'm saying and everything that I believe, that we are living not only in a physical world, but we're living in a spiritual world.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of people my age I'm an old guy, by the way.
No, you're not. No, you're not, honey. No, you're not.
But somebody, I get emails. I get like so many emails every single day, and I'm sure you do too. But these people are asking for help, and I'm retired. But what I do is, and one thing I can do for them is tell them to hang in there, and that I'm in the process of publishing an international directory. And this international directory will have the names of individuals who are bishops, priests, their contact information for investigators who are demonic profilers, who do demonic assessments, all the right people that you would want to have on your team in order to evaluate your situation, especially if you feel it's of a demonic nature. The directory itself is going to be filled with all these people from around the world. As you know, as I mentioned earlier, there's 195 countries in the world. We're only in 24. I want the book to be filled with every country. We will have clergy, we will have laity who are experienced investigators and assessors. They will be there, and we will have some psychologists and psychiatrists who will also be consultants on board to confirm whether or not the issue is truly demonic or just simply a very high core or a very high psychosis. And if that be the case, then of course, we would put that person and direct them to the right person. They're open. This directory is free. It's free to the public, and it's also free to the individuals who may want to be listed in the directory. I'm looking for psychiatrists. I'm looking for psychologists. I'm looking for priests. I'm looking for bishops of any jurisdiction. I'm looking for people who are investigators and who are willing to be listed in this directory. The directory will have their name, their position, their email, direct email, their phone number. At times, some of them may not want to put their phone numbers in, but that's okay. They can put their email address. But the whole point is that the person who has these demonic issues can contact the right person by just simply looking at our directory, our list. And our list will have. Now, right now, I'm still compiling the names. I still need a lot more people to participate in this worldwide ministry. And this truly is a worldwide ministry. It's a healing ministry to help people with demonic issues, and also people who think they may have demonic issues. It's a whole team effort. I'm literally making a public announcement, hoping that any priests, bishops, investigators, teams that are willing to join this world mission of ours to help people who are crying in the dark, who have no idea who to contact, and who have tried contacting their local church, and no action, no activity going on there, or paranormal investigators, and there's no activity there. They don't see any benefit in that. They need to contact the people in our directory. And I hope and pray that I have enough people. Hopefully I will have this published. It's going to be linked to my website, which is www.orderofexorcist.com. And it'll be linked there where they can go and they can see the list of individuals and see where they're located, if they're located in your city, your state, your country, and then you'll have the option to contact them directly. And that would be the quickest way to get help. And I don't believe anyone has ever done this before, so it's going to be
no. I've talked about this many times with Bill Bean. I think Bill Bean may have. I think he joined your like page. I'm not sure. I remember seeing Bill Bean's name. Anyway, we've talked about this many times. And I don't. All I know is Bill Bean, and I know another fella that I've had on the show that he will help out, and I've given him some cases. But he, I don't know how I can contact him to see if he wants to be a part of it. When will this registry be available?
As soon as I get enough names. I don't see any point in publishing it with just a dozen names. I like to have a couple of hundred names in there, and these people should be in, as I said, in every city, every country, and it has to be a complete directory so everyone can benefit from it. And the thing is, it's free for anyone who wants to be listed in the directory, and of course it's always free to the people in need. All my life I have dedicated myself to these type of services, and I've never charged anyone. It's always been free. All my services have always been free. And believe me, I get paid through the blessings that's like manifests itself into what I need in order to survive, and I survive. So as a result, I see the blessings I have, and I love to share my blessings with everyone. So I've always have and always will. Now, I may be in an official state of retirement, but the reality is, come on, nobody really retires in this business.
No,
once you have a calling from God, it's like a lifetime commitment, and that's what I'm about.
Yeah, that's right. And there are many, many people that need help out there. You're going to try and get somebody in every state, or a couple people in every state, right? Yes,
and country. Yes, right now we have quite a few countries in Europe, and we have some. I think we have some in South America, but not enough. Nowhere near enough. Okay, we have some in Canada, of course. And some of the members that have been in my organization are also listed, who decided to come and hop on board on this directory. This is a commitment. It's a commitment that you would be there for anyone who is in need and who needs to have help immediately. And then you schedule it and any way you can, and hopefully people could be rest assured that they're going to get the right help.
These people that are signing up with your order of exorcist, are you training them? No. They
have to already be investigators.
Okay.
They have to,
But you have a guideline that they have to follow, don't you? Like they'll do the investigation, and then from there, who takes it from there?
From there, hopefully the clergy that may be involved in the team. Each team should have a clergy member, and the clergy member could make a decision, and it would be autonomous. Each group that's affiliated in the directory, the only thing that we're sharing our services to the world. So we could be on board with this battle we have with good versus evil. All the people that go into the directory, I call them warriors, because they are. And if they're willing to be warriors to help people who are in need, find out, that's why I even ask for psychiatrists and psychologists. If we have them also on board, they could be there as a consultant in the event that there is no doubt 100% sure that there's some type of psychosis. At least we could be aware of it, and then perhaps maybe we could help that person in another way. But the point is, we need to be a referral directory that's nationwide, worldwide, and anyone, and I mean anyone, can have access to it free because it's online and linked to my website.
Wow. Did you want to share any other stories?
Oh yeah, I have quite a few of them.
Well, give us some. Tell us some.
Okay. Well, if we have time, I'm going to tell you a story that happened a few years ago. First of all, understand I have people in 24 countries. When they make the actual investigation, and then make their assessment, they would forward their information to me. I'm in Ontario, California. So they may be in the Philippines. They may be in Germany. They may be in the UK. They would forward the information to me. They would forward their assessment reports. They would, which I designed back in the 80s, and also a disc of all the information that was recorded. And I would review that. And at that time, I had 2 psychiatrists who were on board in our organization. I would put their psychological reports, I would send them to them, they would interpret it, they would give me their input, and then based on that, that, and based on the evidence that I see, I would make a determination as to whether or not this is a valid case. And if it is, then we take it from there. Well, after saying all that, understand I have hundreds and hundreds of files of individual CDs with cases of demonic possession, cases of demonic assessment, cases of demonic investigations. All the spiritual things that took place and they were able to capture, they have it and I have it in my house. This became a problem because the nature of the demonic has the same ability as God has, as the angels have. I also believe as for the people who have passed on, they also have this ability. That is, they could come and go. They're not in our time and space. They're not trapped in our time and space. They could go and they could see everything all at once. The time is no issue. Place is not even part of the scenario. As a result, the demons also can do the same thing. The demons are, as a result, very, very intuitive because they see it all. They see you. They see you at your worst. They see you when you're at your best. But mostly they focus in on what you're unsure of. They focus in on the things that you doubt about yourself. They focus on all of these negative things, and then they try to increase the problem by becoming part of the problem. Not to say that they didn't initiate the problem to begin with, because the odds are they probably had something to do with it. And this is where demonic oppression comes in. But getting back to all of these files I have of all these cases, these are cases that have been investigated and have either closed, and as a result, just because the case is closed, it doesn't mean that the demonic is closed as well. You know, demons cannot be killed. You can't kill a demon. Anyone who tells you they can, well, they've just been reading too many comic books. You cannot kill a demon. The demon will always be around. It will always survive, no matter what ritual you will throw in. You could evict the demonic entity by the ritual, but in terms of killing, you're not going to kill it. And this, by the way, is also scriptural. As a result, this demon will go, and it will just simply go to another place, because he has a lot of targets, and we happen to be the targets. But getting back to my files.
Okay.
Every piece of paper you touch leaves an imprint. Every surface you touch leaves an imprint. There's a residue of everything that takes place. Whatever action you do physically, you are going to disrupt what would be viewed or considered the natural phenomenon. You're gonna disrupt that to such a degree, and you're gonna leave your print, your what I call signature. The demons also work the same way. They also leave a residual on everything they do. So much so that it could be life-changing for an individual in a very negative way. So, here I am. I'm in front of my computer. I put a CD in my computer, and it's an actual case involving a demonic infestation. So that's where the demons have roam of the space, the home, and just decide to possess the house, if you will. So in this infestation, I'm watching the individual being interviewed, and as my investigators making their assessments, they're asking questions, and the questions are basically about their well-being, about their mental health, mental state, any history of mental conditions. And while they're doing this, of course, they're studying the physical body, if there's any telling signs that the individual might have some kind of disruption within themselves. And if that be the case, then we need to further examine. And as they go through the questions, they go through the psychological questions, the health questions, and then they talk about the manifestations that go around the house. So I'm listening to this. I'm looking at the individual, and he's kind of like moving around in his chair, And he's like paying attention. He seems to be focused, but everything around him seems to be just the opposite. Everything seems to be just a bit off focus. That is, things started to appear to be not what they seem to appear to be. A book might be a ledge or something in that fashion. Things started to basically vibrate within the actual frame of what I'm looking at. And then out of nowhere, this black thing just like came from behind him, and it just came and stuck to the screen, stuck to my console, and it looked like it was a fuzzball. Now, the fuzzball was started in the center of it, and it looks like it was just thrown on the screen. I started looking at it and then trying to ignore it as it started moving very slowly to the left. So as it's moving to the left, my eyes, of course, are following it and saying, well, obviously it's something wrong with the recording, or, it must be some dust that, some malfunction. In any case, this dust particle started to move very slowly again to the left. From the left side of my screen, all the way to the right, very slowly. And it was very distracting because I'm also trying to listen in on the interview and try to be observant in terms of what's going on behind the individual that's being interviewed. This fuzzy thing comes back again from the left to right and right to left. Now this time, it seems like the ball, this little fuzz ball about the size of a quarter, seems to be going about a little bit faster, and then it would slow down and go faster again. It certainly caught my attention, so I had to come close to the screen, of course, because I really want to get a good look at it, and study it, because you never know what it could be. Sure enough, I found out that you shouldn't stare that clear or look that closely, because this darn thing went to the center of the screen, and as I stared at it, it came right out. It jumped out of the screen and pushed me backwards in my chair. My chair, I have wheels in it. I have one of those wheels in the bottom of my chair, so I could slide back and forth, and it just literally threw me back.
Oh man!
This was a full contact, and this is what I came to the assumption that what actually took place was that this entity, again, not trapped in time and space, can actually, in the second, go from that investigation that took place a month ago and come into my present time just to harass me. For some strange reason, I'm no one special or important, but yet it had to get my attention. So it threw me back to a point where I had to regroup and say, wow. I've told the story before. It's so fascinating because the demonic can go through any place at any time. No restriction. Doesn't need a passport. Doesn't need any money. It doesn't need to travel planes. Nothing like that. It just has to have the will to go from one place to the other, and in that split second, it will be there. So I experienced its actual physical presence as investigators who were investigating this individual, who was giving them an assessment and giving the victim the assessment. I was feeling what was actually taking place there.
Wow.
Then it occurred to me that all the CDs and all the files I have of past cases, guess what? Each and every one of them has some form of residue, some form of demonic signature on each and everything that I have. And as a result, that was causing things to happen in the house. It was their presence. They had the free roam to do whatever they wanted to do when I wasn't paying attention. And I have to tell you, that was a few years back. I've learned a lot of important lessons since then. In fact, I try to learn lessons every day if I can. But there's one thing I've learned, and that is you got to pay attention. You got to pay attention to the smallest details. Because if you don't, my gosh, I have a demon that follows me.
You do?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I call him anti-gravity. Because no matter where I go, things fall. I could be across the room. I could be like halfway in the room and something will fall off the shelf. Or something will happen. Always happens. And so I call this demon, okay, by his actions. His actions is he wants me, because knowing that I have such a bad back, my back is in really bad shape. Okay, I sometimes have to take pain-killing pills just to get through the day. So as a result, every time I bend down, it hurts. I'm in extreme pain. This is a residual of what I used to do, my profession. This is what happens when a person retires in my profession. Things happen to their bodies. This was true with in the scripture where it says the Apostle Paul had this thorn in his side. Okay, that thorn, of course, was a residual of the darkness that he had to encounter throughout his ministry, throughout his life. Okay, in my life, I have, obviously, we all have crosses to bear, but I have these residuals that come and go. And sometimes I get handprints on my stomach. I get terrible bruising in various parts of my body. And sometimes I've been literally thrown off the bed a few times.
Oh my
As
goodness!
you see, that thing behind me is my bed, and it's pretty high. So when I fall, I really feel it. So anyway,
well, they have fun with you.
The life of an exorcist is. Even after the so-called retirement thing, you're still in the battle. You're still doing the things you have to do, not only to survive but to help other people around you. And that's what I do.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I've never seen you laugh so much. And I know why you're laughing, because I want to congratulate you on your marriage.
Very good.
What is Joe Gale Enright?
Joe Gale Enright.
Yes.
She is, and all my life, okay, you have to understand, in my organization, and my dealings with people, I always look at people and I assess people. And as a result, I know who's true to form, and I know who's true and who's not true to form. I know what a heretic looks like. I know what an imposter looks like. But there she is. That's my Joe Gale.
Yeah.
She is an empath. She is genuine. Okay.
Ooh, maybe I should have her on the show. Hey, maybe I should have her on the show.
Yeah, you should. I mean, she has a lot of very interesting stories. Very interesting stories. Not to tell you all her stories, I'll tell you one that she had this ability. Now, I believe that there's two types of abilities, okay? There's one that you have to train to hopefully gain that ability, or you are gifted, born gifted. She was born gifted, and it runs in her family. And as a result, her grandmother was also very much psychic and very clairvoyant and in many ways. In fact, it was her grandmother that told her to be quiet and not to tell people, because at that time, it was taboo, and people would think, that there was something wrong with you and things of this nature. But as I said, she will tell you more of that. But she is very much in touch, and she is a professional dog groomer. She's one of the best groomers I've ever met.
Does she groom you?
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for recognizing my smile, because I do think I have an extra spring there. She's a lot younger than I am, I have to admit, though she claims that it's not the case, but it is. And she has a heart of a warrior, because she's a warrior. I encourage her, and she wears her St. Benedict medal. St. Benedict medal, she wears it around her neck, which is for self-protection. It has an exorcism prayer engraved, and as a result, it is meant to be protective of wherever she goes. She has, and she is able to, with natural and positive energy. And again, this really depends on what your belief system is. But there is a thing and there is a substance called positive energy. A positive energy can be a healing energy, and she has this ability. And as a result, I can tell you that she's very, very genuine. I've had people in my organization who were not as genuine, and you can pretty much tell the people who aren't genuine. These are the people who are self-proclaimed, who want to make a name for themselves. And normally, generally speaking, people that do that and they want their services and they want to charge money for their gift.
Yeah.
And normally, to me, that's a red flag. Now, I know people have to make a living. But if you truly have a gift, especially a gift from God, then everything you do in your life, especially in terms of helping people, should be for free. And, and if they want to give a donation, that's okay. But I'm talking about asking for money in exchange for services. That should not be part of the equation. Everything that I've done over, as you know, and as you've probably read, I've done well over 2,000 real, full-blown exorcisms on people who have been demonically possessed. That doesn't sound like a whole lot of exorcisms, because I've been doing this for almost 40 years, so 2,000 doesn't sound like much. But that doesn't include the actual demonic assessments and investigations. Those are in the hundreds of thousands I've done. So I've done a lot of stuff. I've been around a lot of people that have a lot of abilities, a lot of natural abilities, a lot of trickery, and a lot of legitimate gifted abilities. And part of what I do is I assess people. I'm a spiritual profiler, if you will. And I do that over the years. I concentrate on what I'm doing, and I look for signs that are telling in regards to their mannerisms, in regards to how they come over and how I feel about them. It's really it's my gift, if you will. And when it comes to my wife, Jo Gale, truly my soulmate. If there was any such a term as a soulmate, there you have it. I've been married for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, I remember when you. Yeah.
And hey, I have a beautiful granddaughter too. I don't know if you've seen her.
I saw the baby. Yes. I put a like on your page, yes. I pay attention. But that was, I'm telling you, from all the interviews that we've done before, you've never laughed so much. And there's a complete change in your personality. Complete change. So, congratulations, and I wish you all the happiness. And I know you're very happy because I can tell. We have some questions for you. You want to take some questions?
Sure, why not?
Okay. All right, hold on. Let me go to them. Whoops. Okay, so, all right, so from Rudger Sturm, do demons ever come mess with you while you're just chilling at home?
All the time. As I said, I have this one demon I call anti-gravity. Loves to mess with me. Let me give you a perfect example. This happened last night. I'm sleeping. I'm in a nice deep sleep. I have my telephone off, turned off, and would you know it, the ringer's off as well. Would you know it, the phone rang. It was like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Scared the daylights out of me. It rang so loud. I had to get up. I said, I'm laying next to Jo Gale. I said, Jo Gale, can you believe this? I had the phone turned off. How could this happen? And somebody called. And yet, as I went to see who called, it said unknown. Very mysterious. So, yeah, I have bugging me even on my off time. Even when I'm trying to relax, that's when they come. You see, that's the whole point. When you start relaxing, you lower your guard, and that's when things start happening.
All right, another question from Anita Ackerman. Is the Archbishop associated with Bishop Long?
We are the best of friends. We have the same type of Catholic history, and we're both independent and Catholic and very much in love with people, and he's a good man. And he helps the homeless too, I might add.
Oh, he does?
Yes, he is a homeless ministry. And I financially have contributed to his ministry in the past. I just felt moved to do so. He's a good guy.
I haven't seen him around lately, but I've done several shows with him. Very, very, I really like him. From Tollcross, our fella from Scotland, from the UK. Is it ever too late to perform an exorcism?
Yes.
Oh, it is?
Yes. When a person dies, and he's no longer, the spirit is no longer there, their spirit is no longer there, then you wouldn't want to perform an exorcism over someone who's deceased. I know that Christ had resurrected people from the grave. And I also know the scripture says that we could do that and more. I have not have tried that, of course. I'm afraid if I did that, I might create zombies. I don't know. So I try to stay away from that type of thing. So I don't do rituals on corpses. The one major qualification to be a candidate for a ritual is to have a true demonic possession going on, and where there's actually physical and spiritual signs. When things happen, where such as the levitation of the body, levitation of the body is not caused by any form of psychosis. That is a spiritual condition. So when that happens, you know it's genuine. When a person demonstrates these things, and then they would probably be the best candidate. I would also caution the person who is the exorcist. I would caution that he should have at least 2 assistants, because always the unexpected always seems to happen, where someone gets hurt, where there's a life and death situation that always occurs, and it's always good to have the proper support. It's also good to have a physician available too, if he's willing to be there with you, because there are a lot of physical changes that happen in the body. The blood pressure goes up, for example, then it drops down like crazy, and then sometimes they stop breathing, and then they start breathing, and the breathing is heavy. Then the heavy breathing comes fast breathing, and then they stop breathing, and then they seem to go into a deep state of slumber, and then they wake up immediately, and then the whole process starts all over again. It's good to have at least some kind of medical person there, just in case one needs to be used at that particular situation.
I have a question. Do all of these demonic cases that need exorcisms, does the person always talk in a foreign tongue or talk backwards?
Demons have an interesting characteristic about that. They like to be heard. Now, granted, if they really want to stay in that existence that is within the person's body, they shouldn't say a thing. But when they are recognized to be in that body, yes, they start talking, and they start basically trying to throw you off your game, if you will. Okay, the exorcist's job is to identify the individual and to and basically tell them to get the hell out, because that demon doesn't belong there. God did not intend, there was no intention for God to have a demon within us, okay? We have the Holy Spirit that's within us, and the Holy Spirit will always be there. As a result, when the demonic gets in, he wants to have its way. He wants to talk. He will talk in different languages. He will talk gibberish. He will spit out things. Solid objects can be spit out. He would just coming from nowhere. He would just spit out these things. He will spit at people. He will spit body parts at people when possible, and when he given the chance. One individual had his finger bit off, literally, while he was trying to hold down one that was possessed. And this person bit his finger right off his hand, and spit it right back at him.
No!
I remember this so clear because the splatter went all over my face because he was standing next to me.
Holy cow!
No, thank you. It's yeah. So yeah, a lot of things could take place in that respect.
All right, we have another question from Lori Miller. She says, "My father has a demon in him. What do I do to prepare for his death? How can I ensure my safety?
That's a very, very complicated question, because that situation is very complicated. And a lot of facts, I don't know what the facts are. How does she know that he's possessed, for one? And two, is she there by herself? Three, is there any history of mental illness? And four, has she gone out and reached out to the church? There's a lot of blank spaces there. There's no way she could prepare. She could prepare herself, I guess, with her relationship with God and pray for him. But in regards to helping him, she has to seek the right people, and she shouldn't be alone. She shouldn't be by herself.
I don't. Okay. Let's see. Another question from Tallcross. Are exorcisms performed in Latin?
Some of them are, some of them aren't. It depends on the exorcist. Understand, it's interesting. The demonic knows every language. Every language. The demonic can speak every language, has spoken every language, and can listen and understand every language. The particular, it's tradition, of course, is Latin, but it can be said in English. It can be said in a person from Germany can say it in German. It can be done in Chinese. It can be done in any language. Again, the languages are universal when it comes to demonic forces and demonic entities.
Okay. Let's see. I have another question. Whoops. Okay, last question from Dust Bunny. Is your organization sanctioned by the church? Catholic Church.
Our organization is sanctioned by a higher order, and that is God. As a result, not to get into church politics, each of us have a calling from God to do what we do. We take our lines of apostolic succession, we take those quite seriously. And as a result, those go through Rome. So as a result, the Vatican recognizes our rituals and so on. But in regards to who our boss is and who is, what authority we work under God. And God is our authority and our power. And without him, we would not be successful in doing what we do.
Awesome. Well, Archbishop Ron, Feyl, Enright, thank you so much for being on the show. Another awesome show as always. This will be number 3 or 4, I don't know. But I'll make a playlist of all your shows because it's really, they're very informative. And the information people can, if they need help, they go to the orderofexorcists.com. You can check out Archbishop's website, and please, there's a lot of information there. And Archbishop, when you want to come back to the show, let me know if there's anything else you want to talk about with the viewers, because you give insight on what's happening out there, and especially on the demonic. And it seems to be an epidemic on demonic insurgents here. So it's really helpful when you can give information to the viewers, and we appreciate that. Sure. And congratulations and happiness to you and your wife. Okay? Thanks, honey. Thank you, Oh, God. I've known Archbishop for 7 years. Thank you so much. Have a great evening, and happy holidays coming up. Easter's coming up.
That's right. That's right. Well, take care of yourself. Blessings to you and your family.
And you too. Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night now.
Good night. I hope you enjoyed the show. It was awesome. I've known Ron for for 7 years, and he's the Archbishop. Excuse me. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us tonight, and I hope you enjoyed the show. I had a good time. I love listening to him, and I like what he has to offer. And if I get a lot of questions, especially on comments under the shows about demonic circumstances, and the Archbishop is available and can get you help. So, and at least it's out there. Nobody else is doing that unless you want to pay. All right, so got some good shows coming up. Oh, you know what? Oh, let me show you. This year, actually it's February 1st, starts, this is 12 years of Paranormal Zone TV. I started it 12 years ago. And I had a paranormal team. I used to do paranormal investigations. We started out doing 2 residents and then didn't want to get involved with that. So we turned to historic locations, haunted history. And we had a good time, had a great team, and we really had a good time. And then and because of all the attachments that I was getting, I turned to talk shows. So that's what I'm doing now, doing the talk shows. Let me come back here. All right, so I'm gonna say some. See, what else did I want to tell you guys? I forgot what it was. Oh well, I forgot what I wanted to say to you. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to do some shout-outs. Royce, can you help me with the shout-outs? Also, we need to thank our mods. Unique Annie joined us tonight. And we have Royce Hinman, as always, Crystal Triplet, and we have Cassandra. There she is, Cassandra 50. So, without your wonderful mods, we wouldn't have the great chat room that we have. And thank you so much, Shelty Shangri-La, for your super chat money. Thank you so much. Very nice of you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Gosh, I don't know. I had something I wanted to tell you guys, and I can't remember what it was. All right, so let's do some shout-outs, okay? My husband's home, and we're going to eat dinner, so let's do some shout-outs. Oh, God, getting ready for the Super Bowl on Sunday. Yay, 49ers, San Francisco 49ers are there. Going over my daughter's to watch the game. I'm so excited about that. Okay, so we have Anita Ackerman, Cassandra 50, Chippa Terry, Crystal Triplet, Dana Smart, Dust Bunny, Aaron Spellman, I Am Alpha, Lenora Moreno, Lori Miller, Nancy, Robert Hanna, Royce Hinman, Scott, Shelty Shangri-La, Susie Townsend, Swervin' in My Lane, Tigger Jan, Tall Cross, Unique Annie. Any other shout outs that I need to do? Let me go over to the show. Any other shout outs? The Haglin, Atlantis Heals, Beat 3 Airspace. Yeah, I'm Starry Night. Thank you. Everybody have a great evening, and I am so excited about the 49ers being in the Super Bowl. I'm really excited. Sorry. Scott. Okay, anybody else? Okay, so I'm going to go now, and thank you so much for being here. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Carl White, oh my God, there you are. Carl, Tall Cross is from Scotland. You guys are up late at night. Lisa Marie, thank you, Lisa Marie. Shelley Michelle Phillips. Anybody else? Chipoteri? Okay, I'm going to go. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. See you. Oh, I'm doing a show next Thursday, by the way, because I had to change, the Archbishop show. So I'm I have to do catch up now. So yes, 3:30 a.m. I'm thinking it's like 6 o'clock where Tallcross is. So I have to do anyway. So I'm doing a show next week. Yeah, next week. Okay, so I'll see you next Thursday. Okay, don't forget. I did send out the reminders on my web page. So if you want a show but all you have to do is go to the front page of my channel. And when I make up the event, you can just set the reminder and you'll get reminded. Richard Jones. Hi. Or you can go to my website. Sometimes I forget, but you can go there, ParanormalZone.tv, and just click on show reminders and get on the email list. Okay, guys, so thank you so much. I love you. Thank you for being here. Archbishop Ron Feyl Enright, thank you so much for being on the show. And I think I'll have his wife on. My life as an empath. I don't know anything about empaths. I've never had one on the show before. I think that would be good to have her on. So I'm going to say goodnight now, everybody, okay? Love you guys. Have a great and safe weekend, okay? Good night, everyone. Love you. Good night. Oh, Thayer. Okay, good night.